Sounds good.
Joey,
Joey,
what's up?
hey, Joey Magidson Awards Radar. I'm doing terrible because my baseball team lost, but I'm glad to talk to you.
Who's that?
The Mets. I went to the game and got to watch a blowout, which listen, we've
Sorry, man.
been, but yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. You wake up that morning and you're like, oh, that happened. Yep, that was great. But on a better note, I saw your movie at Toronto, and I've been thinking about it since.
Ah,
And there's I feel like not everyone would make your role quite as memorable as it is because,
thanks, man.
everyone talks about Brendan and Colin because that's the log line, that's the focus. And
Yeah,
until you see the movie, it's kind of like, oh, and there's a buffoon in there too. Okay, cool. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I don't know that everyone would have made the character as sweet but sad, but also you're just like, I'm curious about you. And I think that's a
Yeah.
thing that I notice about almost everything you do.
Well, that's what you want, isn't it? I mean, you want to, for instance, like, I know for me, when I leave a cinema, I want to be asking questions and, not always good questions, but like questions about what's this, what's that. And, I was always under the influence of never give them a show and tell, basically,
Yeah.
you want people kind of challenged. You want people asking questions and curious and left feeling. So I do love that you feel that way. And it's not to go in and play a role totally this way or that way, so people be confused and ask questions. But I think it's in general, like, the most interesting people are the people that you can't really figure out.
Oh yeah. No,
Um,
yeah.
you know,
When you meet at a party and you're just like, I think I like them, but also they
I'm in
might be.
love. I'm in love. Yeah,
Yeah.
love.
Oh yeah. There's something to it. And I think it's a through point through a lot of roles that you play. So I'm always curious, like what speaks to you about a role that makes you want to play them? Because it's a combination. Obviously,
Yeah,
there's your talent, but there's also seeing like, I think I can do that, or I'm not sure if I can do that. But there's
yeah,
something that,
yeah,
because especially, the longer you're working, the pile of scripts gets higher. Not better necessarily, but there's more.
yeah, yeah.
And, what makes this stand out?
Well, A, Martin McDonough,
Oh, yeah.
as you know, and he's anything that Martin will make, I'd love to be a part of. So Martin, please get me on your next films.
When
But
I talk to him tomorrow, I'll mention it.
yeah, show him this clip, please. But honestly, yeah, anything that Martin does, and so that's number one. Script is just gold. Colin, Brendan, Kerry, across the board. It's just fucking great. So that made me want to sign on, and then the character, he is sweet, and there's a naivety there, and I don't often get to play these characters where there's truly nothing but innocence,
Yeah.
and honesty, and there's not a bad demeanor there at all. And I think people are so used to seeing me in these parts of like weird kid or fucking sinister or demon man child or whatever. I don't know, but whatever. But I think it challenges me as an actor to get and go try play these parts and convince people that I can do it. And myself above all, myself is the biggest challenge. So
Yeah, it's a it's good for the soul in a way, and it's also good for the career. Because like, yeah, if everyone thinks of Killing of a Sacred Deer, you're like, all right, well, I'm not gonna get that role a million times. So like
yeah, yeah,
that's not maybe the path to follow. But also I understand that people see me in a certain way, so I can
yeah,
play that both ways. Like one, I do think that makes this character even more lovable in a way because he's caught in this literal war that's
yeah,
is above him, but also you're like, I want to tell you like this is not going to end well for you, don't
yeah,
extricate yourself. But also you can be like, but I also know that people see the other side, so like, here's this large comic book character that maybe would be an interesting turn. Like there's a way to do both, and then
yeah.
you get to have fun with it, because I think if you only did one.
Exactly. And you could lean into only doing one, but where do we
Yeah.
see the comfortability? I mean, I don't like being comfortable. I like being on the road to getting comfortable and being challenged and, I'm put into an uncomfortable place to kind of, see what I can do with it.
Yeah.
And I always want that as an actor. I always want to be challenged. I always want to kind of, and it's myself that tells me this most of the time, but I always want to be told that, oh, you can't do it, or not really, because I know I can do a version, and 100% I can do a version. That version is my version, so I can guarantee you that. I may not give you this version, what you had in your head, but I can give you my version.
And it might
So
be
I
better.
always,
Yeah.
yeah, I always hold that in mind, really.
Oh yeah,
God,
and it's
I'm so cocky.
yeah.
I'm
Also,
used to help people.
like what safer space is there also to go out there on a limb, like the to explore a thing that like I don't know if I can do this, but I'll try. Like, what better place than literally on a set where everyone is there to facilitate your success, and maybe it's you're really only going to interact maybe at that moment with the director and your co-star,
Yeah,
but like everyone there, like the lights are perfect because they
yeah,
want you to be
exactly,
able to do the job right. Like there's
exactly. And
it's
that's the great thing about the Irish crews as well. Like, that was another factor is being at home filming.
sure.
Irish crews are amazing. And Colin mentioned it last night at a screening. For him, he got to work with people that he hadn't worked with in 20 years from home.
Yeah.
And so there's so many factors to this movie. It's Mark McDonagh's Apartment 6 show. It's Mark McDonagh's like, Irish movie,
Yeah.
to do as well at home. So there was many factors for me wanting to be a part of it.
Oh, yeah. At what point do you know you've got something? Like I know maybe like performance wise, not every actor's like, I know I did this. Like they're all convinced I did a terrible job and get fired. But at what point do you know like the movie around you at the very least is like, I think this is coming together as good or maybe better than we all expected. Like I'm watching like Colin and Brendan, like this is working out. Like when
Yeah.
do you notice that?
I mean, when you've got that caliber, Colin, Kerry, Brendan, and Martin, they've known each other a long while and worked together, and
Yeah.
you know that they're onto something special. So to be a part of that, and for them invite me into that kind of circle is I'm very, very grateful for that. And I didn't question whether or not it'd be good.
No.
I enjoyed the process of being part of a Martin McDonagh movie. So and people have really responded to it. And I think because it's simply about a male relationship and friendship, and it's there's nothing else really to it, and it kind of tackles people and challenges people, and it's simply about that. So I think that's why people are really, really responding to it.
Which is kind of awesome considering it also functions as a giant metaphor for like Irish history.
It
And
does.
you don't get a ton of people who are bringing up Irish history on a day-to-day basis
No,
outside.
and even these days,
Yeah.
people tend to sit in the pub and not even talk about it, and that is their way of solving problems, and in our culture, and then going back to that time period. I mean, to be expressive or to be, it takes a lot. So
Yeah.
I was really fascinated how Martin translated that and showed us that
Oh yeah.
in
The, the
a truthful, honest way.
and also just the amount that it feels of its time, but still modern in the way that they interact.
Exactly.
Because people who are like that. The person is like, "Oh, you're mad at me. Like, why are you mad at me? Tell me how I can make you not mad at
Exactly.
me."
It exists everywhere. And again, it's a
Yeah.
breakup story. We've all went through a breakup.
Seriously.
And
Yeah.
so we all relate to that.
Oh yeah. No, it's there's so much going on while it being like at its core so small and so centered on just this relationship that it really does let you do the extra work if you want to bring more to it. And that's like you were saying before, it's a great way to sort of bring it back to the beginning as we wrap up. Like you want to have a conversation when you leave a movie. And even if the conversation is like, God, I wish that had been better and I wish they had done this, like you're at
Yeah,
least engaged. It's
yeah,
the
exactly. It
I,
leaves you walking away,
oh yeah, like
speaking about it or thinking about it.
if you leave a movie and you're just like, well, that happened. That was 90 minutes, 2 hours of my life. What's for dinner? You're like,
Exactly.
"Eh,
When you leave a movie knowing all the answers to it, and not to say that every movie you go, you should, have a quiz book or whatever, but there are films I've went to see and it's like, okay, that was that. Cool. And
yeah.
it was enjoyable for that reason. But I like being on the other side of it, being challenged by it, or moved and learning from it, or yeah.
I mean, your career has been full of that, and I suspect will continue to be. And I look forward to all that. And this was fun. I've admired you for a long time. I like 71, even going back to like that.
Cheers, man.
It's great to see more people take notice, and I can't wait till you're too busy to do this again.
I'll never be too busy for you.
I'll take it. I'll be in a better mood next time. It'll work out. My team will. Not.
You're in a great mood, man. I love
Dude.
the short, the green short. I love it.
I figured it would be appropriate. Thank you so much for doing this, and
All right,
congrats.
brother.
You
Thank you
deserve it.
very much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.